Okay, everybody, we're back. This is the third video in our section for Thursday, March the 26th, learning about the basics of verifying trig ratios. Okay, I've got another one here. We determined that Rex now means remote example. So now I have another example. This is remote example number 4. Okay, so verify. Okay, so I've got cotangent of theta over cosecant of theta. And again, if it's x in the problem, you can use x. It just represents an unknown. All right, well, this one's pretty simple, folks. We're headed to cosine of theta. So clearly, I'm going to start on the left side. Okay, so if I'm starting on the left side, then that means that I'm going to have to convert it. All right, I'm going to decompose this so that I can involve cosine, because that's what I want. Okay, well, I know that cotangent of theta is the same as saying cosine of theta over sine of theta. That's my numerator. Okay, I know that cosecant of theta is the same as 1 over sine of theta. Okay, so now I'm dividing a fraction by a fraction. Okay, some of you are going to say, okay, let me bring him upstairs and flip him, which would be totally fine. Some of you recognize that this is a complex fraction, and the way to get rid of that is to multiply the top and the bottom, okay, by the denominator you're trying to clear. So that's going to leave me with cosine upstairs over 1 downstairs, which is cosine of theta. So mission accomplished, because we were able to verify. So this verified, okay? Super easy one. All right, start on the more complicated side, which happened to be this side. We've reduced it down, recognizing we had to hit cosine. Okay, you could have done, and I'm going to put an or here because some of you are going to be like, well, can't you flip the bottom one? Yeah, you could have brought this and said cosine of theta over sine of theta, that's why I'm putting an or here, times sine of theta over 1, just the reciprocal to that. So again, you're going to end up with either which way, cosine of theta, which is what our goal was. All right, so take a little look at that while I get my next one ready. Okay, all we did is use the identities to break that down. We recognized this was the more complicated side. This was my goal. It is a very simple term. And again, I can turn these into terms of sine and cosine and do my math correctly, and it just simplified down. All right, let's go to another one. Okay, this is Rex number 5. All right, same topic. Remote example number 5. Okay. Now, this is going to tie into just looking at the problem, seeing how do I want to attack this. Okay, so verify. All right, we have 1 plus the cosine of theta, okay, over sine of theta. And we're going to verify this so that it ends up looking like cosecant of theta plus cotangent of theta. Okay, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, the complexity is kind of similar, but I'm looking at the fraction. To me, it looks a little more daring. So I'm going to start with the left side and I'm going to reduce it to the right side. Okay, so you're looking at this, you're like, okay, I've got 2 statements here and I've got a fraction, but my fraction has 2 parts to it in the numerator. So I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to decompose. I'm going to decompose this fraction because that's the only way I'm going to split this into 2 terms, because I have 2 terms. So I'm going to be able to decompose, so I can take my numerator of 1 and place it over 1 over sine theta, addition in the middle, that's my operation, and my second fraction is simply going to be cosine of theta over sine of theta. Well, lo and behold, the reciprocal identities tell us that 1 over sine theta is the same thing as cosecant of theta, and we know that our quotient identities tell us that cosine of theta divided by sine of theta is the same thing as the cotangent of theta. So there you did. You verified it. And that was only really, truly one step, this step, and then you rewrote it. Okay, so that one is pretty simple. And that was a fun one, because the simple ones are kind of fun. Now remember, if you start down a path and you see that you're leading astray and nothing's making sense, erase everything and start over and try a different approach. There's no one surefire way to solve these identities. Some of them are more obvious than others, but not one is better than another. Okay, Rex number 6. I'm giving you a lot because I want you to have a variation of approaches and skills. Okay, so this is verify. And we're going to verify that tangent of negative theta, there we go, we've got an even odd situation, times cosine of theta. When they're smack dab up like this against each other, guys, there doesn't have to be a multiplication in between. They're being multiplied. Equals negative sine of theta. So this is our goal, and this is where we're going to start on the left side, because this side is clearly more complicated than that side, or more complex, it's a better word. All right, we know if this is an odd function, and it says so on your formula sheet, that the result that's going to have, it's going to have a result of negative tangent theta, okay? And then we're going to bring down cosine theta here, all right? Now, I'm going to convert this into terms of sine and cosine, because I want sine in my answer. So it's going to be negative sine of theta over cosine of theta times cosine of theta, which you know is over 1, right? And these arrows indicate another step. Well, those are going to cancel out, and I am simply left with negative sine of theta over 1, or negative sine of theta. Mission accomplished, okay? So we verified it. All right, let's see here, guys. I've got another one, and this one's a little more complicated, okay? No, it's not. No, it's not. This isn't the one I'm thinking of. Okay, I may save the more complicated one, or I may just let you guys attempt it. All right, so that was Rex number 6. Now I'm going to do Rex number 7, and this is probably going to be my last one on this video. Okay, Rex number, what was that, 7? Okay. Forgive me for the amount of videos, guys, but YouTube only lets me post certain size videos. So, if there's 4 videos, then you just have to go with, it's like a one class, then split up. It's not that I'm overloading you. But I try to limit them to like about, 9-10 minutes, because then I'll be sure it'll post. Okay, verify. Cosecant squared theta over cosine of theta equals secant of theta over sine squared of theta. Okay, some of you are going, those are identical in complexity. You're right. It doesn't matter. You could start with either side and turn it into the other. I typically, out of habit, just start with the left side. So this is what I'm going to do. I know I've got to end up with sine squared of theta downstairs and secant squared, which is related to cosine, so somehow this is going to happen, I think. All right, I'm going to decompose the numerator into terms of sine or cosine. So cosecant squared of theta is the same as 1 over sine squared of theta, okay, over cosine of theta, which is sitting on top of 1. We know that. Okay, I can bring him upstairs and flip him and multiply the reciprocal, which is cosine of theta. Excuse me 1 second. Okay, so I just brought him up and flipped him. So now we do top times top. What did I mess up on? Hold on. Oh, duh. Okay, sorry. All right, this is 1 over sine squared of theta is secant squared of theta. That's another reciprocal identity, right? And then 1 over cosine theta converts to secant of theta. I didn't need to do that. Okay, hold up. Pause. Okay, guys, I got ahead of myself. That's okay. All right, so we were fine up until this point, and then I brought him upstairs, and then we had to flip him and multiply him. Well, I looked at this again and said, okay, I need sine squared of theta in the bottom. So I'm going to leave this numerator the same, and I'm going to say, okay, it remains, and I said leave it alone right there, 1 over sine squared of theta times our flipped 1 over cosine. Well, this one we will convert to secant of theta, all right, because 1 over cosine is secant, and we just place secant over 1. So now top times top over bottom times bottom is going to leave us with secant of theta over sine squared of theta, which is a perfect match to our right side. So we verified that one. Okay, might shoot you another one. I got to cut out on this one. Study this really well. Be back in a minute.